They say forests hold memories, not in the trees but in the air. If you listen long enough, the wind doesn't sound like wind anymore. It sounds like something trying to remember you. This is the story of the night I learned what happens when the forest finally speaks back. The forest doesn't remember people. It remembers their voices. I never planned on staying the night in Ashwood Forest. It was supposed to be a simple shoot, a weekend trip to photograph fog over the tree line for a magazine spread. The kind of job that pays just enough to keep you moving but not enough to make you feel safe. I remember the way the road disappeared behind me. Just a cracked asphalt path swallowed by trees, the reception bars on my phone dropping until the screen said no service. That's when I realized how alone I really was. By the time I reached the ranger's cabin, it was already late afternoon. There was no one there, just a faded notice tacked to the door that read, "Area closed beyond mile marker 3, structural instability." The map said there used to be a small town up there, something from the logging days, but it had burned down decades ago. I figured I'd hike in a few miles, get some shots, and set up camp before dark. The first strange thing I noticed wasn't a sound. It was the silence. No birds, no wind, no insects, just still air and that heavy, invisible pressure that makes you swallow for no reason. I thought it was nerves. It wasn't. That night, the fog rolled in fast. One moment I could see the curve of the trail, and the next the forest just folded in on itself. Every beam from my flashlight bounced back at me like I was shining it into smoke. I set up my tent near a small clearing, just enough room for a fire and my gear. The silence was so heavy it made me whisper without realizing. I remember saying, "All right, one night, then I'm out of here." And then, somewhere behind me, maybe 30 feet away, I heard a voice, quiet, low, and almost identical to mine, say the same words back. "All right, one night, then I'm out of here." I froze. The sound wasn't echo, not the kind you hear bounce off trees. It came from inside the woods, from somewhere unseen. I turned my flashlight toward it. The fog scattered, nothing there. But my skin was crawling because I swear the second I turned back, I heard something else. A breath, just behind my tent, followed by a whisper so faint I could barely catch it. "Stay." I tried to convince myself it was my mind playing tricks. Sound distortion, the wind through branches. I even laughed out loud, just to hear something human. But the forest didn't laugh back this time. It just went quiet again, completely quiet. So quiet I could hear my heartbeat in my ears. That's when I realized the woods weren't empty. They were listening. When I woke up, everything looked normal, almost too normal. The sun had burned through most of the fog, and for a minute I thought maybe I'd just imagined the whole thing. But when I stepped outside the tent, I saw something that stopped me cold. Right next to my fire pit in the soft mud were boot prints. One set, mine, and another set, facing them. They stopped less than 2 feet from where I'd been sleeping. The prints weren't clear. The edges were smudged like whoever made them had been standing there for a long time, slowly shifting their weight. I looked around, heart pounding, but there wasn't a sound anywhere. I went for my camera, the one I'd left on a tripod facing the trees overnight. The battery was dead, which was strange because it had been fully charged. Still, when I swapped in a new battery and checked the memory card, it said there were 12 new photos. I hadn't taken any of them. Most were blurry, streaks of fog, light, motion. But the last photo made me sit down right there on the ground. It was of me, in my tent, sleeping, shot from about 10 feet away. The camera had been moved. I remember whispering, "No, no, no," under my breath, trying not to panic. And as soon as I said that, I heard it again. That faint, distant echo, my voice, repeating me. "No, no, no," coming from deep in the trees. That's when I realized I'd left the safety of the trail miles ago and no one knew where I was. The forest around me wasn't silent anymore. It was whispering, low, overlapping, broken words. like a dozen different versions of my own voice trying to remember how to speak. I packed my things fast, didn't bother with breakfast, didn't even check the tent poles. I just wanted to get out. But every direction I turned, the forest looked the same. The same trees, the same slope, even the same dead log I thought I'd passed an hour ago. That's when I noticed something else. My old camping radio, the one I always bring just for noise, had turned itself on. Static hissed through the speaker, faint but rhythmic, like something was trying to come through. At first I thought it was interference, but the pattern, it wasn't random. 3 sharp bursts, then a pause, then one long tone. I didn't realize it immediately, but that's Morse code for the letter C. The moment I figured that out, the static shifted again. Another sequence. That one meant Y, C, Y. Then another burst, weaker this time. That's Q. The radio was spelling something, but before I could piece it together, the entire device started screeching, a high-pitched metallic tone that cut through the air like a scream. And then, from somewhere deep between the trees, the echo answered. My own voice, distorted through distance and static, repeated that same sound, almost perfectly. Like the forest itself was mimicking the radio. I backed away, clutching the radio, heart racing. It wasn't random noise anymore. It was responding. And then came the voice. Not through the radio this time, but from the woods ahead. Faint, hollow, trembling. Don't answer it. It was my voice. Only I never said those words. I froze when I heard it. My own voice, warped, hollow, carried on the wind. It came again, softer this time. Don't answer it. I stared into the forest. The trees seemed to bend inward, their shadows reaching for me. Every instinct screamed run, but my legs felt nailed to the ground. The radio hissed again. Then, a whisper through the static. You shouldn't have come back. The voice was definitely mine. Same tone, same trembling breath. I hadn't been here since that night years ago. The trip where my friend Tyler vanished without a trace. Everyone said he'd gotten lost, but deep down, I'd always known that wasn't true. The radio crackled louder now, bursting with noise, until one phrase cut through crystal clear. The forest keeps what it hears. Then silence. I didn't even realize I'd started running until I tripped over something. A half-buried metal box sticking out of the dirt. The lid was rusted shut, but the faint outline of a camping radio was burned into its top. My heart sank. I pried it open. Inside were batteries, soaked notes, and a recorder. The label was faded, but I could still make out the initials. TR. Tyler Reed. With shaking hands, I pressed play. At first, nothing but static. Then Tyler's voice, desperate and broken. It answers back. Don't listen to it. Don't repeat what it says. It remembers your voice. A distorted echo followed, overlapping his final words. My voice this time. It remembers your voice. I dropped the recorder. Every sound in the forest, the wind, the leaves, even the crickets, stopped. Dead silence. Then, from all around me, hundreds of whispers rose at once. Every single one of them was me. I sprinted through the trees, clutching the recorder, my own whispers chasing me like echoes from every direction. The forest pulsed, like it was breathing. Every time I gasped, it gasped too. Every step I took, it followed a split second later. When I finally reached my car, I slammed the door shut, locked it, and turned the key. The headlights flickered to life, cutting through the fog. For a second, I thought I was safe. But then, from the back seat, "You can't leave yourself behind." I turned around. Nothing there. The back seat was empty, except for my radio, still tuned to that same broken frequency. It crackled once. Then I heard it again. My voice, calm and hollow. "You said my name. That's how it starts." The signal whined, sharp and metallic. My phone lit up on the dashboard. notifications flooding in, recordings, all named after me. I opened one, static. The next one, static. The last one, breathing. Not mine. Slow, steady, deliberate. I threw the phone out the window and pressed on the gas. The forest road twisted endlessly, as if looping. The same signs, the same broken fence, the same crooked tree. No matter how far I drove, I ended up back where I started, at the tower. The red light blinked overhead. On air. And then, through the radio, my voice again. But this time it sounded closer. The broadcast never ends. You just become part of it. The headlights died. The radio volume turned up on its own. And when the static cleared, I heard someone else speaking. A trembling voice. Unfamiliar. Terrified. "Hello? Can anyone hear me? I think I found this old tower." That's when I realized I was the one on the other side now. The voice in the static. The broadcast continued. And somewhere out there, another voice had just tuned in.